All right, now we got our iPad set up and our Foreflight. We're going to go into basically getting that projected into the VR. We'll do that by selecting the launch. Wait for this stuff to load up. This may take a second. I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this stuff and get it out of our way so we can work here. The real thing that I want you guys to see that we'll be dealing with, that's not important, just focusing that out of our way. The real thing that I want you to see is if this doesn't automatically populate, which it should, say it doesn't, you're looking for that overdrop shortcut. That's the file we're using right now for this. That overdrop shortcut is basically a coordinate plane, like a three-dimensional piece of paper, and when you enable your VR, you see that exact coordinate plane floating in the VR at some known point. Now, if I want to change that point, say if you look at my hand, if I want to tilt it, move it side to side, maybe bring it forward and place it similar to where it would be if it were on the canopy rail, I'll do that and I'll adjust that position by moving these lines right here. Those will adjust the position of your coordinate plane. So before we get into all that in the actual VR right now, you can't see it. If I enable virtual reality and then I put the goggles on, you will see it. You'll never see it on the monitor view. You'll only see it from the actual goggle view. So now we want to go in and get our iPad. That's going to be our first step. We want to bring our iPad and we want it to display here. Anything that is displayed on this overdrop, think of this as like a scratch pad. Anything that you drag and drop on this scratch pad will display in the same position as the scratch pad is floating inside your VR. So if I want a picture, I could pull a PDF, drop a picture on top of that. I would then put on the goggles and I would see that picture floating right there. If I want a map, I would drag a map and place it on there. Put on the VR goggles and I see that map floating right there. Knowing this, we just want to be able to take our Foreflight and have that projected here, and that way when we put our goggles on, we can see our Foreflight. To do that, first step is going to be to get our Foreflight, or really our iPad, screen mirroring done. So we do that, we take our iPad, pull down, screen mirroring, select it, and then we're looking for whatever this unit is, which we're going to say this is the XX version, or if it's T-6, we'll select T-6 as one of those items. When the numbers pop up, this one's taking a little longer than normal. All right, we'll just enter that 5854. Okay, and then if you'll give it a second, and I apologize if I'm insulting anyone's intelligence, but I'm not very tech savvy, so this took a second for me to get and understand. Now we have everything that we see real time on this iPad. Say we want to go to Foreflight. Anything that I do on the iPad, I can now see there. Okay, cool. So that's the first step. The next step is getting this to show on the overlay, the scratch pad. And in order to do that, we need the scratch pad to recognize it. So we click our drop down, what our scratch pad is recognizing. We go down until we see our training wing 4 right there. That's our IP address for our iPad. Your iPad will show in there if it's being shared. Select it. Sometimes it may take a few tries. There it goes. Now it allows it to overlay. Now if I put my goggles on, my VR goggles, and I look in, I will see what exactly is showing on my iPad floating inside the VR. And it could be anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be Foreflight. I could go to Documents, I could pull out my in-flight guide, and I could go to my checklists. Those checklists will show inside the cockpit, right? That's the joy of being able to not have to take your goggles off to look down your actual keyboard, have your keyboard projected. All right, so let's go back to Foreflight and go to the next step. Next step is going to be basically enabling the Prepare 3D to recognize, or pause.